Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Waha Rakah Kadash. Want to give double honors to the apostles and the teachers at Great Millstone for teaching us word in truth and sincerity, and who rule well. Today's lesson is entitled Instruments of Cruelty, which is a precept that comes from Genesis chapter 49, verse 5, in which I'm going to get into right now. It's Genesis 49, verse 5. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. This is 6. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly mine honor, be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. So I'm more so want to focus for the most part on verse 5. Simeon and Levi are brethren. So the Simeon and Levi represent the northern and southern kingdom, because when we see Simeon and Levi, the northern and southern kingdom, instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. And I want to tell you why Simeon and Levi represent the northern and southern kingdom. Because Levi was kicked out of the southern kingdom and is a representative of Judah. Levi was kicked out of the northern kingdom by Jeroboam and inhabited the southern kingdom after the kingdom split when Solomon passed it on to his son Rehoboam. So the kingdom split in two. The northern kingdom had the 10 tribes, and the southern kingdom had the 2 tribes of Benjamin and Judah. But then they also had Levites there, but Levites were scattered all throughout the kingdom. But Jeroboam kicked the Levites out because he started worshiping to Baal. So he kicked the Levites out. Then the Levites dwelt in Judah after that. So Simeon represents the northern kingdom and Levi represents the southern kingdom. And like we see in these days now, all the tribes have cruelty in their habitations, where they live, where they dwell at. You see all sorts of liquor stores. You hear nothing but guns going off, gun violence. You hear nothing but bad things happening in that area, just death lurking around. A lot of drugs, poverty, homelessness, everything, instruments of cruelty. And this is all done by design to keep us in a cycle that leads to nowhere, in a cycle of death, in a cycle of bondage with chains, because a lot of these things, all they lead to is the prison industrial complex, which is modern day slavery. So yeah, these represent the northern and southern kingdom, and that's why there's a lot of who they call blacks and Latinos in the jails right now. Jails, prisons, they make up most of the labor force in the prisons, coming off the backs of Israelites. And it also says they are hid in prison houses. And those prison houses aren't just always indicative of some type of correctional facility or institution, but it's also these institutions and organizations that come with deception, where a person's mind can be held under bondage of sin. All right. You know, I'm rambling a little, so let me get to my next precept. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12. Bear with me. Okay. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12. I'm going to start at 3. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of the Holy Land, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh, and the feast of blood, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help, that the land which thou esteems above all other might receive a worthy colony of God's children. So that was talking about the land of Canaan of old days, when the children of Israel were going to inhabit it, because the most odious works of witchcraft and the sins had built up so much in that place that the Lord had to give it to his own people to inhabit it, where they could cleanse the land. But as you know, we also started doing the same works of the people, our surrounding neighbors, the nations that surrounded us, like the Canaanites, you know. And the Canaanites is just a Hamitic people known for their sorceries and idolatries. And Esau, the white man, that's who they were more so called a white person, is Esau. Esau models his kingdom after the same sort, using much incantations and enchantments on our people to keep our minds plagued and bonded. And this is the modern day Canaan. This is the modern day Canaan. And these things happen in the old Canaan. And this is the modern day Canaan, and it's still happening now. And that's where we get Canada from. Canada. It's a land of traffic, and no more. America is known for the most traffic. You know, with this shipping industry being a consumer nation. All right, I have another precept in Isaiah 47 and 8. Also, I wanted to hit with it saying that. Let me go back to this before I skip to Isaiah. I want to go back to verse 4 in this Wisdom of Solomon. Whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children. And that's in our habitations also. Merciless murderers of children. When you see these Planned Parenthoods, these clinics, you know, you might think that they deceive us. They bring themselves as an angel of light to make Jake think that. And when I say Jake, I mean Jacob. I mean you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. I'm getting a little tongue-tied. But I mean you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. When I say Jake, that's who I'm talking to. All right. So we see those in our neighborhoods, in our dwellings, in our habitations. We see where it says in verse 6, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew. Verse 5, and those merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh, and the feast of blood. So what is this talking about? These talking about these Planned Parenthood clinics where they're taking our babies in their sacrifice. Well, you guys or the ladies are taking their babies and they're sacrificing them, but they don't know that they're committing a sacrifice. They don't know that they are committing a sacrifice, but they know that they are killing, but they don't know that they are committing a sacrifice unto Baal, and it is demonic. And I don't know the Planned Parenthood signal or their icon or their logo, but every logo out there has some sort of demonic or pagan origin to it. So just like the church and the cross has a pagan origin to it, and that's one of the biggest strongholds in every one of our communities, you know, going on to the Latino, to the Negro, to the Native American Christianity. And that might be what Ezekiel was talking about when he seen them weeping for Tammuz. He probably seen somebody with a rosary bead, rosary beads weeping or something. I don't know, but you know, my mind wanders sometimes thinking about certain things. But back to this, verse 6, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. Because our women, and hell, even our men be telling our women, hey, you need to go down to the clinic. You need to take care of that. And that's already wicked. But then to add wickedness on top of wickedness, you don't even know that what you're killing is being sacrificed to the devil. Moving on. Let me hit Isaiah 47:8 now. All right. So this is Isaiah chapter 47, and I'm going to start at 8. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasure, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am none else besides me, I am, and none else besides me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, and thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else besides me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If it so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so, thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in thy multitude of thy counsels, but now the astrologers, the prognosticators, the Salakim, thou art where. I'm gonna just stop that one because I can't hardly see this right here. So I'm gonna cut that one off right there. But it goes on about monthly prognosticators and more sorceries. But this is verse 14. Behold, they shall be as stubble the fire shall burn them, and they shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor the or before. So yeah, these odious workers of witchcraft, they're enchanters more so. This is talking about America. And like I was already saying earlier, previously, America is Canaan because of Canada. That's where we get Canada and then Canaan, Canada. And America is, from its inception, it started out doing witchcrafts and sorceries and wicked counsels to try to bring Jake down. So like him, I'm looking at my notes, I'm trying to get a little organized, to try to bring Jake down. And that's how they kept our minds, through the power of sorcery and divination. And that's how what happens in this rap music also. That's another instrument of cruelty that dwells in our habitation, is this rap music, because that's nothing but death culture. And you don't even know that when you listen to rap. You can hear the words, but you don't know how many incantations have been done just for that song to come out. So the producer and the actual artist might do a spell in the studio while they doing the song. And then after the song has been mixed and whatever the case be, then they might have a high level wizard come over the masters, come and say some type of satanic prayer and put a curse over the masters to keep our minds plagued. And that you hear that all throughout our habitations, a lot of just gibberish and noise, this death culture. Now, some of the music is enjoyable, and I get it. Some of the music is enjoyable. But when you hear the message that is spreading, and you hear the multitude of witchcrafts and sorceries in it, and if you have any knowledge of that, even in television and the music industry, all of these people belong to some sort of organization that's a witch coven. But these are the people, who you idolize, when people should be idolizing Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, because you should put no idols before him. My people get mesmerized by this stuff. I understand, but I don't. It's just a death culture that normalized killing, drugs, homosexuality, transgenderisms. All of this stuff is just being pushed in front of us, forced for the most part, and it's just all it is witchcraft. Witchcraft upon witchcraft. And witchcraft is just an art of illusion. And that's how they snare us through deceitfulness. But let me hit this. I got Deuteronomy 18, verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination to the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord thy power doth drive them out from before thee. So that was pertaining to Canaan again, but this is going to happen again because we are in Canaan. And it's not just going to be the Canaanites being driven out. It's going to be the 2/3 also of our people being driven out, because whomever can't shake these enchantments and stick to this script right here called the Bible. Stick to this script called the Bible, because they are lost. They are lost in the deception of Esau's enchantments. So I'm gonna hit one more precept in Galatians 5, and then I'm gonna end it. All right, so this is Galatians 5. I'm gonna start at 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. So, Adawan Ratazah, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Until the next time, Lord willing, Shalom.